My father abandoned me at age 2 and started a new family. Now he's demanding half of the $200 million company I built from nothing. Welcome back, beautiful people. Before we begin, subscribe and tell us in the comments where you're tuning in from. We love seeing this community grow worldwide. The conference room went silent when my assistant burst through the door. Ms. Richardson, there's a man downstairs claiming to be your father. My pen froze mid-signature on a $40 million contract. Father. That word felt foreign on my tongue, like trying to speak a language I'd never learned. I was 28 years old and I'd built TechVista from a single laptop in my studio apartment into a $200 million AI software company. Forbes called me the Phoenix of Silicon Valley. They didn't know how literal that title was. I'd risen from ashes they couldn't imagine. Tell security to escort him out, I said, my voice steadier than my hands. He says it's urgent. Something about family business. My assistant, Jennifer, shifted uncomfortably. She'd worked for me for 3 years and knew I never mentioned family. There was a reason. The memories crashed over me unbidden. I was 2 years old when he left. Mama told me the story so many times it became my origin myth. He'd walked out on Christmas morning, left her with nothing but a note that read, "I can't do this anymore." No explanation. No apology. Just gone. Mama worked 3 jobs to keep us afloat. I remembered her exhausted face, the way she'd fall asleep with her work uniform still on, how her hands always smelled like industrial cleaner from her night shift. She died 5 years ago, right before TechVista's first major breakthrough. She never got to see me succeed. Ms. Richardson? Jennifer's voice pulled me back. What should I tell him? My jaw clenched. 26 years of silence and now he appears? Send him up. I want to hear what's so urgent it took him 26 years to find me. He walked into my office like he owned it. That's the first thing I noticed. The confidence. He wore an expensive suit, Italian leather shoes that probably cost more than Mama's monthly rent used to be. His salt and pepper hair was perfectly styled. This wasn't a man who'd struggled. Aaliyah, he said, smiling like we were old friends. You've grown into such a beautiful woman. You look just like your mother. Don't you dare speak about her, I thought. It's Ms. Richardson in professional settings. And you are. I kept my voice ice cold. His smile faltered. I'm Clifford. Your father. He said it like it was a fact, not an abandonment. I know we haven't spoken in a while. 26 years. 26 years, 3 months and 14 days. I'd stopped counting after Mama died, but the number was burned into my memory. Not a call. Not a birthday card. Not even a text when my mother died. Her obituary was in 3 newspapers. You couldn't be bothered to show up. Clifford had the audacity to look hurt. I didn't know she'd passed. I'm so sorry. You don't get to be sorry. I stood, placing my hands flat on my mahogany desk. What do you want? He shifted and I saw it then, the calculation behind his eyes. I've been following your success. You've done remarkably well. Your mother would be proud. My mother died exhausted and broke because you abandoned us. Don't pretend you know what would make her proud. I made mistakes, he admitted, sitting down uninvited. But I'm here now. I want to make things right. I want to be part of your life again. Family is important, Aaliyah. The word family from his mouth made my stomach turn. Why now? Clifford leaned back in the chair, getting comfortable in a space he had no right to occupy. I've built a good life. I have a wife, Caroline, and 2 sons, your half-brothers actually. Joshua is 23 and Clifford Jr. is 21. They're good kids. I think you'd like them. Each word was a knife. He'd replaced us. While Mama scraped by, while I wore second-hand clothes and learned to cook at age 8 because she was too tired, he was building a new family. A family worthy of his time. Congratulations, I said flatly. You still haven't answered my question. Why are you here? Joshua is getting married next summer. Big wedding, about 300 guests. He pulled out his phone, started scrolling through photos like this was a casual catch-up. I want you there. I want my family complete. I laughed, cold, bitter. You want me at your son's wedding? The son you raised while I was learning to budget food stamps. I know I wasn't there. You don't know anything. I walked to the window staring at the city skyline. From here I could see the old neighborhood where Mama and I lived. 20 miles away but a different universe. Get to the point. What do you really want? Clifford's expression shifted. The mask slipped. Fine. You're smart, so I'll be direct. When I left your mother, I was in a bad place. Financially, emotionally. I rebuilt myself. But doing so required certain decisions. I signed away parental rights to avoid child support payments. There was the truth finally. Now, my lawyer tells me that because you've become so successful, there might be legal grounds to revisit that agreement. Apparently, in our state, parental abandonment cases can be. You want money. It's not about money, Clifford said quickly, but his eyes told a different story. It's about what's fair. I may not have been there, but I'm still your father. Biologically, legally, half of what you have comes from me. My genetics, Your genetics? I turned slowly. Your genetics were my high blood pressure at 25 from the stress you caused. Your genetics were the anxiety disorder I developed watching my mother cry herself to sleep. That's your contribution. He stood, his voice hardening. I'm trying to be reasonable here. I'm offering you a chance at a real family relationship. My boys want to meet you. Caroline wants to get to know you. We can be a family again. Again. We were never a family. You made sure of that. Aaliyah, I'm asking nicely. I think given everything you owe me. I owe you. The words came out as a roar. Jennifer probably heard it from outside. I owe you nothing. Less than nothing. You are owed a debt by me, and that debt is paid in full by my mere existence despite your absence. Clifford's jaw tightened. I hoped we could handle this civilly. But if you force my hand, I will take legal action. My lawyer believes I have grounds to claim parental share of your company's success. 50%. The air left the room. 50%. Half of everything I'd built. Half of the sleepless nights, the ramen dinners, the pitch meetings, the code I'd written until my fingers ached. Half of my mother's sacrifice. Get out, I whispered. Think about what I said. I'll give you 1 week to consider a settlement. After that, I file. He dropped a business card on my desk. Call me. We can work this out as family. He left and I stood there trembling with rage. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I sat in my apartment, still the same 1-bedroom I'd lived in when I started Tech Vista, though I could afford a mansion now, and pulled out Mama's old shoebox. It was where she kept important papers, memories, pieces of our life. The photograph was on top. Me at 18 months, chubby-cheeked and smiling, sitting on a man's lap. Clifford, younger, laughing at the camera. You couldn't see the monster in that picture. You couldn't see the man who would walk away 3 months later. Beneath it, letters. I'd read them 100 times, but tonight I needed to see them again. Letters Mama had written to Clifford, begging him to come back to help, to at least acknowledge his daughter existed. Every single one returned unopened or ignored completely. There was a journal entry from when I was 7. Aaliyah asked about her daddy today. Asked why he doesn't love her. How do I tell my baby that some people just leave? That sometimes love isn't enough to make someone stay? I told her daddy had to go far away for work. She said, "When's he coming home?" My heart broke into 1,000 pieces. I lied to my daughter. I said soon. But I know he's never coming back. I wiped my eyes. Then I found the document I'd been looking for, the child support records. Or rather, the absence of them. Clifford had paid exactly 3 months of support before his lawyer filed to terminate his parental rights. Mama had signed because she was desperate, because $300 a month seemed worth less than the legal battle she couldn't afford. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "This is Joshua, your brother. Dad told me about meeting you. I'd really like to talk. No pressure." Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet Joshua at a coffee shop downtown. I needed to see for myself what kind of family Clifford had built while abandoning mine. Joshua looked like Clifford. Same build, same smile, but his eyes were kinder. He stood when I entered, nervous. "Aaliyah? I wasn't sure you'd come." "Thank you." We sat, awkward silence stretching between us. Finally he spoke. I didn't know about you until 2 weeks ago. Dad sat us down, told us he had a daughter from before. Just dropped it like casual conversation. Oh, by the way, you have a sister. How did you react? I asked carefully. Honestly, I was angry. Clifford Jr. too. All our lives, Dad preached about family loyalty, about how we stick together no matter what. Then we find out he abandoned a daughter. Joshua shook his head. Our mom tried to defend him, said it was complicated. But how complicated can it be? You were too. I studied him. He seemed genuine. Why did you want to meet me? Because you're my sister. Half-sister, but still. And because... He hesitated. Dad's not telling you everything. He's in financial trouble. Bad investments, business deals that went south. He's leveraged everything. The house, his company, everything. He's desperate. My blood went cold. He came to me for money. More than that. He wants to claim you owe him. Some twisted legal theory his lawyer cooked up. Joshua leaned forward. Aaliyah, I want you to know, Clifford Jr. and I want no part of this. Whatever Dad does, it's not on us. We think it's disgusting. But your mother? His jaw tightened. Mom. She's standing by him. She doesn't think it's right, but she won't stop him either. She says he needs to do what he needs to do. The lawsuit arrived 5 days later. Clifford Richardson versus Aaliyah Richardson. Claim for retroactive parental investment recovery. His lawyer had actually created a legal theory arguing that because Clifford's DNA contributed to my existence, and my intelligence came from genetics, he was entitled to a percentage of my success. My lawyer, Donna Butler, a 60-year-old bulldog with 30 years of family law experience, looked at the documents like they were written in crayon. This is the most absurd thing I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot. They're claiming biological contribution equals financial entitlement? That's not how any of this works. Can he win? I asked. In court? Absolutely not. But that's not what he wants. He wants you to settle out of fear, pay him to go away. Donna's eyes narrowed. The real question is, do you want to just pay him off and move on, or do you want to fight? I thought of Mama. Thought of her tired smile when I got a scholarship to college. Thought of how she'd cried happy tears when TechVista got its first major contract. She'd died believing in me, never asking for credit, never demanding recognition. I fight, I said. I want the whole world to know what kind of man he is. Donna smiled grimly. Then let's give them a show. Discovery is going to be very interesting. We'll subpoena every financial record he has, every communication. If he's hiding assets, if there's any fraud, we'll find it. Within weeks, the case became public. Tech journals picked it up first, then mainstream media. AI mogul sued by estranged father for half her fortune. The story went viral. My social media exploded. The comments were brutal. Half supporting me, half calling me ungrateful, claiming blood is thicker than water. The public exposure brought unexpected allies. A woman named Diana reached out through my company email. I'm your father's first wife. Before your mother. We need to talk. We met at her home, a modest house in the suburbs. Diana was 56, a schoolteacher with kind eyes that had seen too much pain. Clifford never told you about me, did he? He said my mother was his first marriage. Diana laughed bitterly. Of course he did. We were married for 3 years. I couldn't have children, medical issues, and he left me for your mother because he wanted kids. Then he left her too when fatherhood got hard. It's his pattern. She showed me documents, divorce papers, therapy records, restraining orders. Clifford had emotionally abused her, controlled finances, isolated her from family. He's a narcissist, Aaliyah. Clinical diagnosis from our marriage counselor. Everything is always about him, what he needs, what he deserves. Why are you telling me this? Because I know what he's doing to you. He did it to me, to your mother. He takes and takes until there's nothing left, then moves on to the next source. I want to testify on your behalf if you'll have me. More people came forward. An ex-business partner Clifford had swindled. Creditors he'd defrauded. A picture emerged of a man who viewed relationships as transactions, people as resources to exploit. But Caroline, his current wife, stood by him. She appeared on a local news station, perfectly coiffed and composed. Clifford made mistakes in his past, but he's changed. He deserves a chance to reconnect with his daughter. Aaliyah is being cruel and vindictive, refusing to share her blessings with the man who gave her life. The media ate it up. I became the villain in some narratives, the cold-hearted daughter who wouldn't forgive. The harassment started small. Comments on social media calling me ungrateful. Then it escalated. Someone leaked my personal address. Protesters showed up outside my office building with signs, "Honor thy father," and "Blood over money." Clifford was feeding the fire, giving interviews about how much he'd sacrificed, and how modern children had no respect. He painted himself as the victim, a father just wanting to reconnect with his estranged daughter who'd let success corrupt her values. The board of directors called an emergency meeting. TechVista's stock had dropped 12% since the lawsuit became public. Investors were nervous. Perhaps it would be better to settle, one board member suggested. Pay him off, make this go away. The company can't sustain this PR damage. I looked around the table at these people. Mostly men, mostly wealthy, mostly comfortable. "Let me tell you about my mother," I said quietly. Her name was Sandra Richardson. She worked as a night janitor, a day care assistant, and a weekend grocery store cashier. Sometimes all in the same day. She did this for 18 years until I graduated college with a full scholarship I earned by studying under flashlights when the electricity got shut off. The room was silent. She never complained. Never asked for recognition. Never demanded the world acknowledge her sacrifice. She just loved me and worked herself to death ensuring I had a chance. She died at 46 years old. 46. From exhaustion and stress and a body that had been pushed beyond its limits. I stood. That man downstairs with his protesters, with his lawyers, with his media campaign, he contributed nothing. Less than nothing. He made our lives harder by abandoning us. And now he wants half of what I built in her honor? Over my dead body. If this company crashes, we crash. But we don't negotiate with extortionists. The courtroom was packed. Media, supporters, protesters. Everyone wanted to see the showdown. Clifford sat with Caroline and his lawyer, looking appropriately sorrowful and fatherly. I sat with Donna, my hands folded, my face composed. The trial was brutal. Clifford's lawyer painted me as a successful woman who'd forgotten her roots, who refused to acknowledge that without her father's initial contribution, his genetic material, his decision to have a child, none of my success would exist. Then it was our turn. Donna was methodical, surgical. She presented every returned letter from my mother, every missed birthday, every unpaid medical bill. She brought in Diana, who testified about Clifford's pattern of abuse and abandonment. She showed financial records proving Clifford had plenty of money when he abandoned us. He'd simply chosen to start fresh rather than support his existing family. But the moment that changed everything was when Donna called Joshua to the stand. Clifford went pale. Joshua's voice was steady. "My father told me and my brother that he was young and unprepared when he had Aaliyah. He said he made a mistake leaving, but he was overwhelmed. That's what he told us our entire lives." "And did you discover something different?" Donna asked. "Yes. When this lawsuit started, I did my own investigation. My father wasn't young and overwhelmed. He was 32, same age as I am now. He'd had a previous marriage. He knew exactly what he was doing. He abandoned Aaliyah and her mother because he'd met my mother, who came from money. He traded up." The courtroom erupted. The judge gavelled for order. Clifford was shouting at Joshua, calling him a traitor. Caroline was crying. It was chaos. But Joshua wasn't done. I also discovered that my father has been hiding assets through shell companies, preparing for if this lawsuit failed. He never intended to reconcile. He just wanted money. The judge didn't even take a full day to deliberate. In all my years on the bench, I've never seen a case quite this egregious. "Mr. Richardson, your claim is not just without merit. It's morally reprehensible. Case dismissed. Furthermore, I'm sanctioning you and your attorney for filing a frivolous lawsuit with malicious intent. You will pay Ms. Richardson's legal fees, which I see total approximately $300,000. Clifford's face went purple with rage. As we left the courtroom, he cornered me in the hallway. Security was there, but he got close enough to hiss in my ear, "This isn't over. You've turned my own son against me. You've destroyed my family. I'll make sure you regret this." "Your family destroyed itself," I replied calmly. "You destroyed it the day you chose yourself over everyone else." The media frenzy that followed was overwhelming. Public opinion had shifted dramatically after Joshua's testimony. I went from villain to victim to hero in the span of a day. Think pieces appeared everywhere. The American dream's dark side. When family becomes predatory. My TechVista stock rebounded, climbing higher than ever. But the victory felt hollow. Joshua and Clifford Jr. reached out, wanting to build a relationship with me separate from their father. I agreed to coffee slowly. They were good men, better than they had any right to be given their father. Caroline divorced Clifford 3 months after the trial. The financial investigation revealed he'd been embezzling from his own company, forging her signature on loans. She lost everything too. She never apologized to me. Clifford disappeared for a while. His business collapsed. His reputation was ruined. I should have felt satisfied. Instead, I just felt tired. Then 6 months after the trial, I got a call that changed everything again. "Ms. Richardson, this is Mercy General Hospital. Your father, Clifford Richardson, has been admitted. He's had a severe stroke. He's asking for you." I stood in my office, phone in hand, frozen. After everything, he was asking for me? Donna's voice echoed in my head from our last meeting. "You won, Aaliyah. You don't owe him anything. Not even a goodbye." But I went. I don't know why. Maybe because Mama would have wanted me to be better than him. Maybe because I needed to see if any part of him was capable of remorse. He looked small in the hospital bed, half his face drooping from the stroke. Joshua and Clifford Jr. were there, and they looked relieved when I arrived. "He won't talk to the doctors unless you come," Joshua explained. "Says he needs to tell you something." I approached the bed. Clifford's good eye focused on me, and he gestured weakly for his sons to leave. When we were alone, I expected an apology. Some deathbed confession of regret. Instead, he whispered, "The company. I still have shares. From when you first started. I invested. Through a shell corporation. Anonymously. You never knew. I own 23% of TechVista. My lawyer has the documents." My blood turned to ice. "What?" "I was always there. Watching. Waiting. When you needed seed money 8 years ago. I provided it. Made sure you succeeded. So I could collect later." His mouth twisted into something resembling a smile. "You never escaped me." I staggered back. 8 years ago, when TechVista was struggling, we'd gotten an anonymous angel investor who'd provided crucial funding. $500,000 that had saved the company. I'd never known who it was. The paperwork went through a venture capital firm's shell company. It was him. It had always been him. Every success I'd built, he'd been lurking in the shadows, waiting to collect. Donna confirmed it within 48 hours. The shell corporation, the hidden shares. All legal, all documented. Clifford had been smart, patient. He'd let me build TechVista into an empire, then positioned himself to claim a piece worth $46 million based on current valuation. "But there's something else," Donna said, her voice grave. "The investment came with a clause. If he dies, the shares transfer to his designated heir. He's had his lawyer update the paperwork. Care to guess who he named?" "Caroline," I asked, already knowing the answer was worse. "He's leaving the shares to you. In his will, there's a letter explaining that this was always his plan. To force you to accept something from him, to make you acknowledge his role in your success. He's trapped you. If you refuse the inheritance, the shares go to his creditors, who will sell to the highest bidder. You could lose control of your own company." The cruelty of it took my breath away. Even in death, he'd found a way to insert himself into my life, to make himself undeniable. Clifford died 2 weeks later. At the funeral, attended by almost no one, I stood over his casket and felt nothing but emptiness. No closure, no peace. just the hollow echo of a lifetime of manipulation. I kept the shares. Not because I wanted them, but because TechVista was bigger than my pain. The employees, the innovations we were bringing to the world, they mattered more than my pride. But I did something Clifford never expected. I created the Sandra Richardson Foundation with the $46 million those shares were worth. Every penny. The foundation supports single mothers pursuing education and entrepreneurship. Hundreds of women every year receive funding, mentorship, and support. Everything Clifford's money represented, abandonment, greed, cruelty, I transformed into hope. At the foundation's opening, I spoke to a room full of women who reminded me of Mama. We are not defined by what was done to us, but by what we choose to do despite it. Someone once told me that family is the most important thing. They were wrong. How you treat your family is the most important thing. And sometimes the family we choose, the community we build, matters more than the blood we share. Joshua and Clifford Jr. were there helping to serve food, to set up chairs. They'd become real brothers to me, bonded by shared trauma and the decision to be better than the man who'd raised them. They'd changed their last names, wanted no association with Clifford Richardson. I still run TechVista. We're valued at over $300 million now. Forbes still calls me the Phoenix. But I know the truth. I'm not a phoenix rising from ashes. I'm my mother's daughter, built from her love and sacrifice, carrying forward her legacy of resilience. Some nights I still pull out that old photograph of me at 18 months, sitting on Clifford's lap. But I don't see him anymore. I see a cautionary tale. I see a reminder that biology isn't family, that DNA isn't love, that giving life doesn't mean you deserve access to it. I see a man who had every chance to be better and chose himself every single time. And I see the woman I became despite him, or maybe because of him. The wound never fully healed. How could it? But I learned to carry it. I learned that some people will take and take until you're empty, and the only way to survive is to stop giving. I learned that setting boundaries isn't cruelty, it's self-preservation. Most importantly, I learned that Mama was right all along. Love shouldn't cost you everything. Real love builds you up, doesn't tear you down for parts. I visit Mama's grave every month. I tell her about the foundation, about the women we're helping, about how her sacrifice wasn't in vain. I tell her I made it. That we made it. And sometimes I let myself cry. For the father I never had. For the family that could have been. For the little girl who just wanted to be loved. But mostly I cry for Mama, who gave everything and asked for nothing, who never lived to see the empire she built through her daughter. That's the real inheritance. Not Clifford's manipulative shares or his blood or his name. It's Mama's unconditional love, her unbreakable spirit, her unwavering belief that I was worth everything. And I spend every day trying to prove she was right. If this story moved you, please like and subscribe. Share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever had to set boundaries with toxic family members? Your story might help someone else. Remember, you don't owe anyone access to your life just because you share DNA. And if you're a single parent struggling right now, you're not alone. You're building something bigger than you know.